It's learning time.
Do we want to start soon? Maybe. Hmm.
Let's wait a little bit.
For the ones who haven't, please change your names. Yeah, to the format. You can resend it, one. Please change your name so we know. Oh, there we go. Are we good to start then? Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Let's start with today then. All right. Good afternoon, everybody. This time I didn't forget. It's afternoon, not morning. Welcome to session 3 of the Android Adventure Quest. I hope you guys had a good time last week. We have this week's session coming up. Just as yeah, just for the ones who've just entered, yeah, you may change your names to the format, please, and we can begin. Silakan, Fel.
Okay, hello guys. Welcome to the third session. So in this session, we're mostly going to take a look at object-oriented programming. Before I start, please, we still have a few people who haven't renamed themselves. Please do rename yourself according to the format available. Okay, so in the previous meeting, we have talked about functions, conditionals, loops, and also basic data types inside of Kotlin. In today's meeting, we are going to take it further. We are going to take a look at object-oriented programming. This is a concept of creating object and instances. This is used in a lot programming language. You can see it being used by Java, C++, Dart, and some other programming language. And Kotlin, OOP is one of the concept that is supported directly by Kotlin because it is compiled to JVM, like what we have talked about before in the previous meeting. Kotlin can be compiled to Java Virtual Machine, which means it needs to comply to the rules or standard that have been created for Java. Okay, so let's get into OP. Before, please open your IDE. I'll wait for 1 or 2 minutes for you guys to start your IDE. Also that I have created some boilerplate code here. This is just a summary of what we are going to learn today. At the end of session, I'll be sharing this file so that you guys can, yeah, re-review on later times. Okay, had everybody open their IDE yet? FLX, if you want to ask question, please rename yourself according to the format. We believe that respect is very important and renaming is not very hard. Thank you. Okay, so let's start with the concept behind OOP. So OOP is object-oriented programming. By using object-oriented programming, we are assuming that everything starts with an object. way is an object. So what is an object? Object is actually a code representation of real world entities. So for example, we can create object for human and for living things. So in this case, what is a human and what is a living thing? A human is like a blueprint. A human doesn't define an instance. What do I mean by instance? Instance is, for example, if you have human and then human is a blueprint, then the object or the instance is, for example, Rafael. I'm an instance of a human, which means I am a human, but different human than other human. Okay, this concept may seems a bit confusing at first glance, but it's actually quite straightforward because it is modeled after real world entities. So living things is also a blueprint. So it defines how living things should be. Both of these are kind of like blueprint. Inside of OOP, we call these stuffs as class. So class technically means blueprint inside of object-oriented programming. And inside of object-oriented programming, there's a concept that we call as inheritance. The concept behind inheritance is an object may inherit the attributes or the characteristic of another object. In this case, if we take a look at living things and human, we can logically think that human is a living thing. So we have here human is a living thing, which means human inherit all characteristic of living things. While human so we can say like if living things can breathe, so human can breathe. If living things maybe they have age, human may have age. That's what we mean with inheritance. We can inherit certain characteristic from the parent class. So living thing is a parent class and human is the subclass. This is inheritance. But the question emerged now. So if we say that human inherit from living thing, so we say that human is a living thing. The question now if is living thing a human? Any idea, guys, about this statement here? This is actually, even though we are talking about object oriented programming is a concept that can be applied to many fields. Even we can do it to language, like what we do here. We are trying to visualize the concept between OP with language. So, any idea about this statement? Is living thing a human? Okay, some of you say no, not necessarily. Okay. And the answer is actually yes and no, as we can see here. Living thing is a human if it has the characteristic of a human. But living thing is not a human if it does not have the characteristic of a human. At this point of time, maybe this may seem straightforward as, yeah, I mean, this is quite simple. Living thing is a human if it has the characteristic, but it is not a human if it does not have the characteristic. We are going to take a look at the implementation at the code level later, but now this is the basic concepts between instances and all those stuff. And also, if we do inheritance on human, which has been inherited from living thing. So if we create like a tree, we have living thing on top, then we have human, which is derived from living thing. And then now we want to create baby, which is derived from human. So if baby is derived from human and human is derived from living thing, we can conclude that baby is also a living thing. This is a multi-level inheritance. So if we want to write it as a structure, we can do something like this, living thing. And then we have human, then we have baby. This is the structure that we are having here. If human is derived from living thing and baby is derived from human. Okay, so that's the concept behind object-oriented programming. We haven't touched the code yet, but this is all you need to know about object-oriented programming on the conceptual level. Do you guys have any question regarding to this concept? Okay, I'll wait for a few moments. Okay, so if there is no question, then we can proceed to the next part. Before we have talked about human and living thing, these both are just a class, or in the normal way of saying, it's a blueprint. So this define how every human, what is the characteristic of every human and what is its behavior. Also for living things class, it define what is the characteristic of living thing and what is its behavior. So in order to define a class in Kotlin, let's create a new file. We can create a new file by going to the folder, and then you can right click, then new, and then you can go to Kotlin class or file. Then you can name it anything, but um, for classes, you need to name it with uppercase letter on each word. So if you have like this one, Kotlin class, you need to name it with uppercase K and then uppercase C. In this case, maybe we'll try to do like um, living thing, maybe. Or maybe let's create um, hello world class, hello world. The naming convention, the standard naming convention is by using uppercase H and uppercase W. So you can create something like this and it will create a class for you. So a class declaration is actually quite simple. You need the keyword class, just as you need like maybe keyword for or keyword if. You have the keyword, and then you have the name of the class, and then you have this curly braces to put the code inside. Okay, this is a basic structure of a class. Even if you only create this kind of structure, you can directly use it. So for example, we go to main.kt. Here is some boilerplate code that I will explain later, but now let's create an instance of the class. So if we, so I've said before about what is instance and what is class. So class is like the blueprint, and then the instance is like the object that is created from this blueprint. So for example, if you are, uh, maybe you are uh, living in a house, the house have a blueprint. The blueprint can create multiple houses, but um, it's not the house. It's just like what define how your house should look like. So uh, that's about the difference of class and object. Object is the house. The blueprint or the class is the blueprint of the house. Okay, let's see. Here, the name of the class is hello world. So how do we create an instance on or an object of this hello world class? We can define it with the var keyword if we want it to be mutable, and we can use file if we want it to be immutable. And then, for example, we do hello world. Okay, if you guys remember, or if you guys follow last week meetings or session, you know that for variable naming in Kotlin, you should do it with the first word with lowercase, and then the second and uh, the next words with uppercase on the first letter. So for variable namings and function naming, it is hello world, which is having a lowercase h, while for the class naming, you should have uppercase H and uppercase W. This is the standard naming. It will not result in any error if you guys didn't name it this way, but it may create confusion as it's not the standardized way of defining variables and function. Okay. In order to initiate or create an instance, you can do with the class name hello world, and then you can use a parenthesis. So here we have created a new instance of the class, or an object of a class, which is called hello world. Okay. Of course, we can do it multiple times. We can do hello world 2 is equal to hello world. For example, we have created two instances of the same class. And one thing that we need to keep in mind is that if you have like this kind of class and then you do not do anything on it, even though technically um, the data that is stored inside of hello world 2 and hello world is identical. There's no difference between hello world and this hello world. If we create a comparison operator, let's compare between these two objects. Hello world is equal to hello world 2, and then let's run this. Can run it. It will result in false. Do you, any of you have any idea why this result in false? Because technically, if we think logically, hello world should be equal to hello world, because hello world 1 is contains the same thing as hello world 2. Okay, good answer from Darren, because the reason is hello world and hello world 2, even though they contains the exact same data or the exact same uh, thing, they are actually pointing to different addresses. By using this comparator operator, hello world 1 and hello world 2 becomes compared by their pointer. Pointer is a specific number or a specific address that is located on the memory. So when you create a new instance of a class, it will always point to a new location in the memory. So this will returns false. But let's take a look at this later, how to make this to be returning true, because sometimes we want to compare between two objects. For example, if we want to compare between two person, we want to compare the name. But currently, it's not possible for us to compare directly. So let's take a look. Now we'll get to something that we call as property or data members. So what is it actually? It is a data that is stored inside of a class. So when you initiate a class or you instantiate a class, each of the object will have this data, and this data is not shared by them. Each of the object have their own instance of this data. Okay, so what do I mean by that? We can create maybe a var, and then maybe age is 10. We are having something like this. And then, for example, here we want to change hello world dot age is equal to 20. For example, we want to do something like this. If technically, even if the class or the blueprint have the age set to 10, we still can change it here, but it will only affect the instance of the object that we change. So for example, let's try printing the value for both hello world and hello world 2. Okay, so we can do something like this. If we do this stuff, this is the previous thing that I talk about, the pointer. Um, this is the pointer of hello world, which is ending with EA2 in the hexadecimal format. And for hello world 2, it's ending with 655. This is the address, and this is the address. And the first one is the class name. If you see, the class name is hello world. So this is the pointer. Now let's check for the age. We can do .h and then .h. Properties inside of a class, we can access them directly with the name. So if you have hello world and then you have age as a property or data member inside of a class, in order to access it from outside of the class, you can just do dot and then the property name. In this case, you can do .h. If we run this, we can see that hello world has an age of 20, and then hello world 2 has the age of 10. 10 is the value that is placed on the blueprint. Okay, so each instance of a class will have a separate entity for the data members. Of course, there's a way to share between objects, but we're not going to take a look at it right now. Let's go to the next topic, which is methods. So just like outside of a class, you can define variable which is called data member inside of a class or property. You can also define what we call as methods. So methods is actually just function that is declared inside of a class. So we can do function, maybe tell age, and then maybe it returns an integer. So here we want to return age plus 1 maybe. So here we are actually having um, a method or a function that is located inside of a class. It's called tell name. It returns an integer. If you guys, maybe this is your first time coming to DSC and you are not familiar with class and then if statement, please go to our YouTube channel and check our first episode. You can take a look at the basics of if statement and also functions. So what this technically do is it returns a value of age plus 1. So if we have the value of age is 10, it will return 11. Okay, so now to use a method inside of a class, it's quite similar to how you access a variable or access a property. You can just use hello world dot tell age. But if we see here, you can hold control and then hover over the tell age. It will say that it returns an integer as what we defined before. So if we do something like this without putting it into another variable or printing it out to the console, this is definitely useless because the data is not directed anywhere. So in order to make use of the data, we need to print it out. Okay, so to recap, let's see the result first before recapping. So we have 21. So we have the age. We set the age to 20 and then we print the age using tell age method. This is the helper method that we create inside of the class. So we have the age 20. We use the tell age to return 21. Okay. Um, this is how you call variable by just using the name. And if you want to call the method inside of a class, you can just use the name and then use a parenthesis. Okay, this is not that difficult. Any question, guys, regarding to that data members and methods inside of a class? Okay, no question. Okay, then we can proceed to the next part. Um, will it work if you don't assign the age? No, it wouldn't work. If you do not assign the age, if you just do like this thing, yeah, it will not work. It must be initialized or it must be abstract. But we are going to take a look at abstract classes later. Okay, if you do not assign, let's undo. If you do not assign the hello world.age to 20 in the main part, it will still work. If we do something like this, yeah, it will still work. It will print out 11. The reason is actually when you create the instance of hello world, it already has the default value of 10. So it will just use the value 10 and then returns with tell age. It will return 10 plus 1. Okay. The next concept that we are going to take a look at is what we call as constructor. So sometimes, like in this case, like hello world, if you want to change the age, you need to create a new instance by using hello world with parentheses, and then you need to do hello world.age is equal to 20. But sometimes we want to do it in one go. It will be great if we can do something like maybe file hello is hello world, and then you want to put 10 as the age. This will be great because there's no need to repeat hello.age, hello dot blah 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 for a few times. This is quite a repetitive task. So we can do it by a concept that we call as constructor. In order to create a constructor or the primary constructor, we are actually having two type of constructor inside of a class, the primary constructor and the secondary constructor. In order to create the primary constructor, we can use a parenthesis after the class name. And here we can directly put in the data that we want the user to input. For example, we can do maybe age is integer. Yeah, we can do this. Now our class will accept a parameter of age. Here we have the autocomplete, we have age as 10. But at the current stage of our class, the age is still unused. If you see, it's grayed out because it's never used. So in order for us to be able to set our property age to be with the value of this age, we need to pass it here. So it have the value age, which is given from here. It will be directed to this variable age, so that your age will be set from this data. But actually, because this pattern is quite common, Kotlin has provided us with a shortcut. So if you want to declare a variable or a data member inside of a class, and then you want to assign it directly from the constructor, you can move it to the constructor. Then you have something like this. Oops, let me change it here. Okay, we can do something like this, so that we can, before we have age is integer, now we have var age is integer, which means we have an age here, invisible property below with the name of age, with the value that will be inserted from hello world. And of course, sometimes we do not have any default value. We can, for example, do age is 20 directly like this. You can also do this on function, of course, because constructor is actually a function, but it has a special functionality. The functionality is usually to initialize the first state of the class, and also to pass in data into the class. So you can do something like this. Let's try in the main.kt. If we run hello is hello world equal to 10, yeah, of course nothing will prints out because we haven't do any prints command. We can do print learn hello dot tal age maybe. Yeah, we set it into 10, the age. Tal age should prints out 11. Okay, we are having 11. But if we remember here, we are creating var age is integer with default value of 20. So if we remove this value from age, it will still work, and it will returns 21. That's what we call as primary constructor. Okay, this is what is happening with the primary constructor. Up to this point, do you guys have any question? If you guys are originated from like languages like Java or C++ or maybe Dart or other languages, you will know that this kind of syntax is quite unique to Kotlin, because most of them, maybe in Python you do def init, something like this, def init and then a colon, and in Java maybe you do the function name hello world. Yeah, this is the normal way of doing things like in C-like languages. So if you guys originated from C-like languages, you will be more familiar with this syntax. But in Kotlin, we are doing this kind of syntax. So you can put in directly on top of the name. Of course, we have some limitation that we are going to take a look at later. Okay, so any question, guys? Up to this point, up to the constructor and um, default value. Okay, if there's no question, we can continue. Um, if you see here, I've created some note. So actually, when you're in object-oriented programming, there's something that we call as access modifier. So access modifier is this 4 keyword: private, public, protected, and internal. This keyword can be used to change the access of a class or property or method inside of a class. In Kotlin, it is quite different from Java, even though Kotlin is compiled to JVM, it's able to be compiled, I mean, because it has other compilation target. Um, if you create a class like this, the class is default to public. So unlike Java, if you program in Java, you will know that declaring class by using only the class keyword will result in a class with default access modifier, which is not available in Kotlin. There's no default access modifier. The default access modifier in Kotlin is public. So when doing class Kotlin class, you're actually doing public class Kotlin class because it can be accessed anywhere. So if you do create a class in Kotlin class.kt, then you can access it in hello world, you can access it in main.kt. Um, Technically, you can access it everywhere. Okay, that's access modifier. The two most access modifier that will be used inside of Kotlin or usually like in any language is just public and private, and sometimes we use protected. But the must know modifier is only private and public. Private means that it can only be accessed inside of the class. You can only access this inside of this class. But for public, you can access it anywhere. Okay. And also before we have take a look at constructor, this is a constructor for Kotlin class. Before we have hello world, this is the primary constructor for hello world class. Now it's called Kotlin class. This is the constructor that takes an integer. Now we are going to take a look deeper at a data member. Okay, we have inside of Kotlin, we have the concept of setter and getter. This concept may seems a bit weird if you are from a program language that you need to declare your own setter and getter, but inside of Kotlin, setter and getter is built in. What is setter and getter? If you have a property, for example, in this case, we have a property called data, and then you have a getter. A getter allows you to get this data and process it before returning it to the user. And a setter allows you to input a data to be passed in and processed before being used in the data instance. Okay, this may seems a bit confusing, but let's get to the example. Here we see that the getter will returns 10 times of the data value and the setter will returns 2 times of the data value. Let's see. Um, let's use this code. Okay, we create a new Kotlin class instance called KC, and then we put in the data to be 20. We use kc.data equal to 20. By using this kind of syntax, we are actually setting a value into the data property inside of KC instance. So we are passing the value from the constructor. So the value is uh, data is 20. We pass it to this one. So set d is 20, and then field is the reference to data. So if you have setter and getter, you cannot say data times 10. You cannot say data is d times 2. You need to reference this data as field. So when you use this one, data is equal to 20. This is a setting. This is setting the value of data to be 20. So Kotlin is smart enough to automatically call the setter. So you have d becomes 20 because you input the value here to be 20. And then the value of field or the value of data will be d times 2. So the value will be 40 because 20 times 2 is 40. Okay, the value will be 40. And now we have the getter. How to use the getter? It's actually similar to the normal way of getting data. You can use kc.data. This is calling the getter. This seems like we are not calling anything, but actually behind the scenes, Kotlin map our call like using this dot data and then dot data equal to the respective getter or setter. If we run the code, we'll see that the result is 400. This is kind of weird because we are inputting 20. How can the result of data becomes 400? The reason is when we are using the setter or when we do this operation, kc.data equal to 20, field is equal to 20 times 2. So the value is 40. But when we want to get the value, we call by using this one kc.data only, it will call the getter, which will return field n, which mean that we have 40 before. 40 times 10 become 400. This is the concept behind getter and setter. And if you omit these two stuff, if you comment this out and you just create something like this, var data is number, Kotlin will automatically generate a setter and getter for your data. But the thing is, if you use file, which means the data is static, you cannot use the setter because Kotlin will only generate getter for immutable data, because there's no point creating a setter for immutable data as the data will not be able to change. Okay, so a thing to remember is var or mutable data will have setter and getter, but immutable data will only have getter with no setter. Okay, up to this point, do you guys have any question regarding to the concept behind getter and setter? This is used a lot actually because sometimes you store some value, but you want to return other kind of value. You do not want to return like the plain value. You want to process before it's being set, or you want to process before it's being get. Any question, guys? Is it a must to create getter and setter by default? If you omit this getter and setter declaration by something like this, Kotlin will create a default getter and setter for you. So it will do something like get equal to field and then set d equal to field equal to d, something like that. So it will create default getter and setter if you are using var, and if you are using file, it will create a default getter. So if you think that the data that I want to put is not going to be processed, there's no need for processing, and for the data that I want to get, there's also no need for processing. Yeah, you can just omit the get and the set methods. Okay, any other question? Okay, I believe that it's clear enough. So now we can get to the secondary constructor. So before we have something that we call as the primary constructor. The primary constructor is usually used to pass data inside of the application. But sometimes um, there is a few properties and you want to pass data with variation. Okay, what do I mean by variation? Let's assume we have this hello world class, and then we have a few properties. Maybe properties age is 10, and then name is Rafael. Let's do age is integer. Okay, and then we have name is string. Okay, this is the default way of doing things. We have two data, and then we want to create a default constructor so that user can input age and name. So let's see, like if you do hello world is equal to hello world, and then you put in the age is 19 and then name is Rafael. Yeah, this is the default way of doing things. But sometimes we want to have a different kind of constructor, or we want to have multiple constructors. So how can we do this? We can use what we call as secondary constructor. Okay, so how do secondary constructor work? The first thing is you need to use this special method, which is constructor method. We can do constructor, and then here we can input the thing that we want to pass into the system. So we can do name, for example, name is a string. And then here, we can use this constructor to call this constructor. This is called list initialization. we can use the colon, and then we can say this. This refer to this object, to hello world. So this refer to itself. By using something like this, you can call this constructor. So each, for example, we want to create an instance of the object where the age is always 19, but the name is supplied by this constructor. So we can do something like this, and then we can just create an empty body. Inside of this body, actually, you can do a lot of things. Maybe you can print out things. Okay, maybe that's uh, prints out something. You can do secondary constructor. Okay, this is uh, what we can do inside of body. Actually, you can do anything, not just printing. So if we want to use this constructor, we already having this first constructor, which the first object, of HW, which use the default constructor. And then now let's create HW2, which is using the second constructor. Okay, now the question emerge. How can you access the first constructor or the secondary constructor when you have no idea, like, how can I call this constructor or this constructor, because it has no name, it's just a constructor. The thing is, the only requirements for you to create multiple constructor is they need and must have different arguments. So as you see here, we have two arguments, age integer and name string. Here we only have name string. We cannot create a constructor with the exact same thing as the primary constructor. So if we here want to use the secondary constructor, we can just pass in a string. Okay, we can do it something like this. So if we run, it will say secondary constructor. It will only print once, because if we see here, this one is using primary constructor, and primary constructor doesn't have any print statement or something like that. But the secondary constructor, it has a print statement, or it has this body that prints out something. Okay, up to this point, do you guys have any question regarding constructor, primary constructor, and secondary constructor? Okay, I believe that there is no question regarding this primary and secondary constructor. We can proceed to the next part. If we see here, okay, we have these three functions. This three function, toString, equals, and hashcode, is a function that we override from the parent. Okay, we have before take a look about parents and uh, like the inherited class. So for example, living things is the parent to human, and human is the parent to baby. This is also the thing for this Kotlin class. Even though Kotlin class here seems like it does not have any parent, but if you create a class inside of Kotlin, it is actually automatically will extend Kotlin.any, which is a parent class that will supply templates for these three functions. So we want to override. Overriding means that the method is available at the parent, and then we want to change how certain things is working. So override is just like you want to change the behavior of certain method. So one of the method that we'll be using a lot is toString. I believe if you have seen before, let's see, var age is equal to, okay, or let's just print out println hello world. Maybe you can put in something. If we print this out, we'll see that we have this kind of thing. We have the class name, and then we have an @ symbol, and then the hash code of the class. This may not be the thing that we want. I mean, like, sometimes when you do toString, you want to see maybe something like hello world with age and then name of name. So in order to change this behavior, this is the default behavior that is which is kotlin.any. We want to change this behavior, and the way to change that behavior is to do an override. Okay, we have three things to override here. And the first thing that we want to override is to string. Okay, this function is at the parent, so we want to override it. We need to put in this override keyword, and then we put in the function is to string, and it returns a string. So currently it returns super.toString, which means it returns the toString method of its parent. But this is not what we want. We want to say, for example, hello world, my age is, we use string interpolation. If you guys do not know what is string interpolation, you can watch back the previous session or previous meeting. We use string interpolation to input data into a string literal. And then hello world, my age is age, and then and name is name. Okay, we can do something like this. If we rerun the application, it will now says that hello world, my age is 19 and my name is Adi. And I believe most of you agree that this is a better string representation of this class rather than, I mean, like hello world at 1 2 3 4 5 6. This is a better string representation. Okay, so this is the function of overriding to string. And then we also have the other two, which is, if you see here, it is equal and hash code. So remember before that I said that when you compare two classes that are different instance, or you create two instances of a class with the exact same data, and then you compare them, they will always be different. Um, Actually, you can override this behavior by using the equal. Okay, so let's, for example, override the behavior of hello world. We can do override and then equals. If you see here, before we are having a toString method that returns a string. But on the second part, on the equal method that we are going to override, we are actually returning a Boolean. So what is this stuff? Okay, let's take a look at this statement. We have a hello world. Okay, hello world equal to hello world. When we do this kind of statement, this statement is actually mapped into this equal function. So we can do some, it is equivalent to something like equals and then hello world. Okay. The previous syntax is completely equivalent to this syntax. So you are creating something like this. So in other words, this other variable or other argument is the other instance that we want to compare to our instance. So how can we say that hello world is equal to the other hello world? In this case, hello world have two properties. Like in Kotlin class, we have one, which is data. The way to compare is we want to compare if the data is the same, and then we also want to compare if both of them is the type of hello world. Okay, how can we do this? The first thing is we need to make sure that this other variable, which is currently any, which means even though this is hello world, you can compare it with Boolean, you can compare it with string, or compare it with anything. We want to make sure that other is a hello world. We can do other is hello world. Okay, this will return a Boolean. So if other is hello world, or in other way of saying other is an instance of hello world, it will return true. And then we want to use the AND operator, which will return true if the left side and the right side if true. We want to make sure that the data of our instance, which we can reference with this reference to our instance of object, we can do this dot h is equal to other dot h. If you see here, we have this green color. So if you see here, smart cast to hello world. So even though the type of other is any, when you do this check other is hello world, it will cast, or it will change, or it will assume this other have the type of hello world. And then we have already checked if other is hello world, and then this age is the other age, and then we can check for the last one. This name is other name. Okay, this is the complete implementation of the equal method, which means first we need to check if it's an instance of hello world, and then we check if the age is equal, and then lastly we want to check if the name is equal. Okay, this seems a bit complicated, but let's take a look at the code in action. Now let's maybe let's just print hello world with name of Rafael, and let's check it with hello world with the name of Rafael. Okay, we forgot the L, but it's okay. Yeah, we can run this, and it will say that true. This instance is now equivalent to this instance. Even though if we remove this method or this method, it will returns to false. But in this case, because we have override word and equal function will be very important because you can compare between two objects and you can have the string representation of two objects. This is better than the default behavior of this the default behavior that is passed down by the parent. Okay, any question about this system, guys? Okay, am I lagging?
Oh no, not at the moment. You sound fine to me.
Okay, so am I lagging before, or any part of the explanation is not clear?
There's some occasional lag, but I don't think it's enough to miss the entire sentence.
Oh, okay,
Unless that
okay,
is the case, then somebody may ask if you guys think that it was too laggy or you
okay.
didn't or you missed anything.
Okay, guys, do you have any question or do you miss anything maybe about the explanation? Okay, no problem. Okay, the equals. So we can do something like so the equals is a method, or we can say it's a special method that is available in every Kotlin class. So whenever you create a class, it will be automatically available there. Okay, so but the default behavior is not very useful, because if you compare like hello world, which is this is an instance of hello world, and then this is an instance of hello world with the exact same data. We have the name uh, here and the name also here, which is exactly the same. And if you use the double operator, comparison operator, it will return false, even though you have the exact same data. But this is the default behavior. Sometimes we want to change this behavior to something that is more logical. In this case, we want to make sure that before we make sure, we want to create a rule. How can we say that two object is equivalent? The first rule that we want to make sure is if the other object is also with the same of hello world object, have the same type as our object. Okay, this is the first thing. This is statement is just same as this if statement that we have discussed before. Human is a living thing, so other is hello world. So we are checking if other is uh, the type of hello world. And then we also want to check each property. We can say this dot h is equal to other dot h. We want to see if this dot h is equal to other dot h, then returns true. And also name. We want to make sure that the name is same. Is if each of these condition, the first one, the second one, and the third one returns true, it means that the whole thing is applicable, or the whole thing is same. Both of the thing that we compare is equivalent. Okay, that's about enough. Is it clear enough? Okay, no answer. Okay, okay, we continue. And the last one is hash code. Hash code is just the code representation of a certain class. Yeah, you guys can research it further if you want, but this is not very important. This is just something that you need to know. It's three of the most commonly overridden function to string, equals, and haskell. But if you guys do not want to override this, yeah, it's okay. Just delete the whole thing. Okay, up to this point, I believe that it is clear enough. Now let's go to the next functions. Like what we have said before, we can inherit a characteristic from the parent class. So for example, human can inherit from living thing and baby can inherit from human. Before we get into deep inheritance, let's take a look at what is abstract class. And before we start, it's actually best practice to put a single class. We'll just put everything into a file for the sake of easiness. Okay. So before, if we see that we have class, that is the normal class. Now we have something that we call as abstract class. What is the difference between normal class and abstract class? Abstract class is a template that you use to create a template. Okay. Before we talk about um, living thing is a template for every living thing. And we talk about like house blueprint is a template for a house. But what if the blueprint also have a template? So the relationship is kind of template, and then you go to the blueprint, and then you create the house. The template is the abstract class. This is a class that you cannot instantiate. This is a class that you need to inherit to create another class that you will later instantiate. Okay. So what's the use of abstract class? With abstract class, you can declare member data and also method that is abstract. Okay, you have this abstract keyword here, which means that this is abstract. Or we can say that abstract data is a data that does not have any implementation. So what is implementation? In case of data member, implementation is just you. There's no need for you to input any value. If you input a value, it says that uh, it's abstract. Property with initializer cannot be abstract. Abstract should not have any value in case of data member. And in case of like function, we have this function. Abstract means that you cannot define what this function do. You cannot add the curly braces. You need to just create definition. So it is an abstract function that is called print. That's it. Because it's abstract. It is a template that you use to create another template. Okay. But the thing is, even though this is abstract, you can create normal variable. You can still create x is 10 and then you can say hi. This is still available. And here, if you take a look, we have what we call as the open keyword. So function and variable inside of a class, by default, they are final, which means you can inherit them, but you cannot override them. If we see that before we have to string, we have equal, those methods are open so that we can override them with the override keyword. Let's take a look back. We can override them with the override keyword. Here, we want to make sure that say hi method can be overridden. So we use the open keyword to make sure that it can be overridden. Okay. This is abstract. So inside of abstract class, you can create abstract variable and abstract function, but at the same time, you can create abstract variable and non-abstract function. And then if you want to let a function to be overridden, you need to use the open keyword. Okay. Up to this point, any question, guys? Okay, I believe there is no question. Maybe we can continue. Okay, now we are on another class. This is abstract Kotlin, and then we want to create another class that is based on this abstract Kotlin. So now we have a template, and we want to use that template to create another template. So this living thing is a template based on abstract Kotlin, and how we inherit the parent class is by using this colon and then the class name with parentheses. So here we are having class living thing that accept age, which is integer in in the constructor, and it extends abstract Kotlin, which means that every data or every properties and function that is available in abstract Kotlin is also available to living thing. Okay, and then here we want to override the data. Here we have data, but it's abstract, so we need to provide an implementation of data. So we override the data to be an integer that accepts age from the constructor. This is how you override variable. So we have this abstract, you need to override it. If you remove this override statement, it will say like class living thing is not abstract and does not implement abstract base class member data. So you need to always override abstract members. Okay. And also, if we see here, print is also abstract, so we need to override print. So we need to override function print, and then you have something like this. It needs to be overwritten. And for this, if you see here, we have this open keyword. It means that this method can be overridden by the children. But class also have an open keyword. If we use open keyword on a class, it means that the class can be inherited. There's difference between open keyword on a function and on a class. On a function, it means that the function can be overridden, and on a class, this open keyword means that the class can be inherited. So if you remove this open keyword, there is no class that can inherit living thing as it is final. By using open, it's not final anymore. Okay, we'll take a look at this later. So like what I said before, abstract class is a template to create a template. So the template now is a living thing. But now we want to create a template based on living thing. We can do that by extending living thing or inheriting living thing. Now we want to create a class called person with this thing, with this data and instance. And then we want it to extend living thing. So living thing here, if we see, it accept an age, which is of type integer. In order for us to be able to inherit from living thing, we need to create a class, and we need to call living thing inside of parentheses with the age, because it accept a single arguments. For abstract Kotlin, it doesn't accept any constructor, so we can just use an empty parenthesis. But in this case, we need to use parentheses with the data of age. Okay. Okay. Now, if we see here, we have overridden print here from this abstract method. Because this is abstract, we can override it here, and we can override it even on the children. We can re-override the data that we have created here. And then for say hi here is open, which means it can be overwritten. So if you are on an abstract class, you can choose to make a function abstract. Abstract, it can be overwritten, but you cannot add a definition, like you cannot do this. But if you say open, you can provide a default implementation, but it can still be overridden. So you need to choose either one. You can use open and abstract on an abstract class. But if you are on a normal class, you can just use open to make sure that your children can override the current configuration. Okay, this is the override thingy. And of course, like if you want to create a class that override living things with anti implementation, you can do this. It will inherit everything that you have from living thing. Living thing have um, data, print, say hi, and x, and animal will also have them. That's about inheritance. Any problem, guys, or any question? This may seem a bit complicated at the conceptual level, but we are going to take a look at the implementation later. Okay, any question? Okay, if there is no question, we can continue to the implementation. The other thing that we need to note about abstract classes, if you create an a variable that you want to be the object from the abstract class, here is an abstract class, and then we want to create an instance of an abstract class, it's not possible. It will say you cannot create an instance of abstract class. And the reason is simple, because on abstract class, this is just a template for another template, which means you do not have the implementation. So you cannot create an object based on an abstract class. You need to create object based on the children or inherited class from abstract class. You cannot do it directly on the abstract class. For example, here we have abstract Kotlin, and then living things extend abstract Kotlin. You can instantiate a new object based on living thing, but you cannot instantiate a new object based on abstract Kotlin. Okay, now let's create two data living thing. Yeah, I think we have talked about this before. If we compare it directly, it will say like it's not possible to compare them, so it will return false because this is different instance, and we do not provide any equals override method inside of living thing. If we see the living thing definition here, we only have print. Okay. Now we have also human and animal. Let's uncomment this. If we take a look at human and animal, human is a person. It has the overridden print statement to be I am name and then my age is data. Then it can say hi, hello world, and then the age. For animal, it doesn't have any overridden implementation, but it overrides it inherit directly from living thing, which means it will say that I'm a living things, and then it will follow the definition from abstract Kotlin for the say hi. So let's see the code in action. We have created a new person with age 10 and the name is Raphael, and then we create a new animal. If the animal say hi, it will say hello, exclamation mark, and 10. The reason is because it inherit living things, and then living things do not have this say hi. So we check abstract Kotlin, but abstract Kotlin has say hi, so hello, and then s. I mean x. So the value of x is 10. So we have hello 10. But for person or human dot say hi, we can say here, see here, say hi, it says hello world and then x. X is the age, which means it will return hello world 10. Okay. I believe that this should be quite straightforward. Now we are getting to the part that is quite confusing, I think. We have three instances here, or three objects here. The first one is living thing, the second one is person, and then the third one is animal. Okay. The thing that will always be clear is human is always a living thing, and then animal is always a living thing. But inside of programming, sometimes we do not want to declare things this way. If we run this, we'll have human is always a living thing, true. And then we have LV, or living thing is a person. This will always be false because the value inside of living things is a living thing, not a person. An animal is living thing. This is always true because animal inherit directly from living thing. The thing is, sometimes we want to do things a bit differently in OOP. This is what we call as upcasting. Sometimes we want to do something like this. We want to create a human, which is in this case called human 2, which is a living thing that is a person. Okay, do you guys understand the meaning of this declaration statement? We are assigning an instance of person into living thing. So even though this is person, we are not assigning a person to a person, but we are assigning it to living thing. The first reason why this is possible is because, like what we have said before, person is a living thing. So you can assign the value of person into living thing. But here, if we see, we want to print if human 2, which is a person, is living thing. which will always be true. But now, unlike before, if we print before like living thing is person, it will always return false. But here, because human is living thing that contains the value of person, human too is a person, it returns true. This is what we have talked about before. So human is a living thing, but is living thing a human? Yes, if it has the characteristic of human, and no, if it doesn't. So the example before, when we do living thing is a person, living thing that we pass into the checking is a living thing. So it's not a person. But here, the human that we pass, the human which is a living thing that we pass into the check. So here we can maybe say this as human that is a living thing is a person. But in this case, the human that is living thing is a person. So when we check if it's a person, then it is a person. You guys get the concept behind this casting and checking. This is quite confusing maybe, but the concept is very easy because sometimes you need to do something like this as you need to generalize the type so that you can work with broader types. Any question, guys, up to this point? Okay, no question. If there's no question, I think that's all for today's session. We have talked about OOP, we have talked about inheritance, we have talked about classes and then how classes can relate to each other. We can go back to Vincent and get to the next session in today's meeting.
All right. Thank you, Rafael, for that part of the for of today's session. So as you all know, there is going to be games at the end of every session, like we had last week. Uh, we got your feedback from the forums last week, and we understand that the format of the games was pretty odd. And so we've decided to change a lot of it. I'll read out the rules in a bit, but just to inform, after this, all of you are going to be split out into different breakout rooms where you'll be able to ask the technicians or possibly Rafael for any questions regarding today's session. And with that, we can go straight into the games. All right, similarly to last week, we are going to be playing a trivia game where we are going to split you into a number of teams. And from each team, we'll need a representative to answer the questions for that team. There's going to be a prize at the end, so shoot for the highest points and you'll win your prize. Uh, Now, on to the set of rules. Yeah, oh, wait. Just reminding that if you were picked as representative last week, you are ineligible to be representative again this week. Oh,
To add on, you can accept the winner.
oh, okay, my bad. Yeah, you
Oh,
can, but the winner is the one who doesn't. All right, my bad. Because yeah, we don't want people winning all the prizes. I mean, one person winning all the prizes. All right, so my bad. Moving on to the rules of the game. All right, let me read this out. So first and foremost, I'm gonna give you a trivia question to decide which team is going to pick the very first question from the board. After that, when we prompt the question, you'll have 30 seconds to answer that question. And so every representative from each team has only one chance to answer in the chat box, which means that if you answer once and it's wrong, then you're wrong. And the answer that is chosen for the correct answer to get points is the first correct answer that appears in the chat box. So being fast is one thing. You also need to be correct. So no more spam clicking. Yeah. So if that person gets the correct answer, then they get to pick the next question. Moving on, if nobody gets that question correctly, no points are allocated, and we're gonna ask another trivia question to decide who picks the next topic. I'm getting information that somebody is leaving today, by the way. Somebody's leaving a bit early.
Oh.
Yeah, okay. Thank you for informing. In that case, then maybe we can move on to creating the breakout rooms.
Breakout room. Okay, I think all of them are already there. The breakout rooms.
Hello.
Hello, Fel. It's recorded.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I said you answer as soon as the question is prompted, Johan.
I didn't hear that. My bad.
All right, whatever. I hope that nobody misunderstood either. So let's move to the breakout rooms then, Ben.
You can tell them if they have any question, they can just call for help. I'll assign a technician there.
Join room one lo ya.
Yeah.
Wait. By the way, can you tell them breakout room will close at like? Wait, how many minutes do you want to give, Vince? Oh shit, they left already. Goddamn.
Max 30 minutes.
Wait, so when do I close this breakout room then?
Follow the schedule.
Kalau pakai schedule, close-nya jam 3. As in 10 minutes from now.
Sumpah, ya udah 3:15.
Guys, kok
Kenapa, Vel?
kok room 1 banyak kali guys. Room 5 kok cuma 3 orang guys.
Oh enggak, itu ada
Oh,
PIC.
itu ada Bendy sama ada Vincent.
Oh iya.
Yang aneh room 5 cuma 3 orang tuh.
Iya.
How come?
Ditambah nggak sih?
Mereka leave. I cannot do anything about that.
Ya aduh.
I mean, this happened last week as well. Room 4 juga ada yang leave kok.
Iya. Ya, udah deh.
Room 1 juga ada yang leave.
Iya.
Oh, enggak. Room 1 enggak.
Oh, hello. Gue baru makan.
Halo.
I think because the game is
Yeah, I
they
mean,
thought like game is
to
the
be
same.
honest, if I was them, I wouldn't want to stick around for the games.
Udah pada breakout room ya.
Iya.
Yoi.
Today's explanation too complicated or how?
No lah.
Not really.
Sebenarnya itu cukup
Mantap.
basic sih yang dijelasin.
Iya sih. Mungkin potentially yang mungkin agak ngebingungin itu apa, the override equals.
Ya itu karena mungkin agak advance kan topik itu sebenarnya.
Iya.
Cuman kalau nggak dijelasin susah juga itu.
Iya sih, bener sih ngejelasin itu seharusnya.
Karena itu aku yakin 90% orang nggak pernah pakai.
True.
Ini kalau nggak ada yang question, itu masih mau sampai 3:15 aja. Gar. Because that's what happened last week. Nobody asked anything, so we just close it early.
Iya, kalian close it early aja. Guardian nggak di sini, Yon.
Iya, dia langsung, dia lagi di room 3 sekarang.
Kali itu aja kali, jam 3 close aja kali. Maksudnya biar kuisnya ada
Ya,
waktu.
menurut saya juga jam 3 close. Mereka nggak ada yang nanya, soalnya kemarin juga kan ini juga nggak ada yang nanya, belum ada yang call.
Kalau kayak minggu depan juga nggak ada yang nanya, kasih 5 menit aja gitu kan. Maksudnya kayak untuk persiapan itunya aja.
Cuma buat pilih representatif kemarin, soalnya last week cuma 5 menit juga sih.
Iya kan, makanya. Soalnya mereka kemungkinan besar kalau nanya pun kan di grup juga nggak enak kan mau tanya.
BRB.
Ini aku overtime nggak sih tadi?
15 minutes, tapi nggak apa-apa. Soalnya breakout room kita bakal readjust kan. There's no way
Oh, iya.
put 30 minutes.
Ini padahal materinya udah dikurangi loh.
Setiap kali buka breakout room, saya takut yang leave banyak.
masih harusnya masih oke gitu. Aku juga keliling-keliling deh.
Oke, you can like tanya, do you have any question? Ya, bikin a live lah, I don't know.
Kita lihat lah, kalau terlalu sepi kayaknya nggak usah ditanya deh.
Oh, tuh pada ke room 5 tuh, ikut aja, Vel.
Aku ikut.
Udah rame tuh di room.
Dan pada ke situ semua.
No, the MC kan emang regularly check up every room.
Oh, gue juga jalan-jalan ya.
Ya, up to you. Feel free to do whatever you want.
Oke.
Hello, Yovin.
What's up, gamer?
Yovin,
So,
can you announce all the breakout rooms that they're coming back at 3?
Okay, yeah, I'll do that now.
Okay.
What's up, people?
Or should I tell them once they come back? Can you tell them to for the representative to change their name to representative or something? And then
Or
their name.
like team 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 will that will
Oh,
be
like at the back of their names?
At the start.
at the
Probably.
start. Yeah.
No, we need if the start of their name, we need it for the screenshot. It's like for easy for us because it's like their ID directly.
Yeah,
At
last
the
is
back
last.
then. At the
Okay,
back maybe. I just need to be able to read the chat and see kaya. So it's not. But why is Rafa in the waiting room? What the?
Vince,
Yeah.
where's your
My video died. I don't know what happened. Oh, I'm back.
pff.
It said my video camera broke.
Halo, Rafael.
boleh kasih aku co-host, aku mau nggak bisa masuk breakout room lagi jadinya.
Suruh nyewoy. Kok bisa sih? What happened to you?
Udah.
Aku mati tadi. Maksudnya ujungnya mati.
Kamu hidup lagi.
Oh, guys, coba lihat breakout room 3. Aku sangkut di sana.
Kenapa emang?
Tapi padahal nggak di dalam.
Iya, weh. Tapi it said not join, so.
Breakout room 3 pada nggak ngomong apparently.
Oh iya.
I will go back to them.
Karena ada
Yeah, I know. Apparently they need a name. They need.
Wait, are they talking in breakout room 5? It's just 3 people. I'm kind of concerned.
I checked that. I think they're
Not
okay.
really.
I know that number 4 already has a representative.
Okay, I have the broadcast about 3 p.m. and the rep at the end of their name.
Jason's already in there. Wait, let's go to room 3, Ben. Let's check it out.
How was it fell?
Why, Yon?
Tadi baru balik ya?
Iya, baru balik.
Gimana?
Ya, begitu. Nggak ada yang tanya sih, aku cuma keliling-keliling aja.
Oh, oke. They have 30 seconds left. We can go back 30 seconds.
Wait. Oh, nggak jadi 3:15. Jadi we'll just stop at 3 ya.
They have no questions.
Oke.
They're just using breakout room to choose a representative.
Oke, rep-nya sudah ada. 3 belum ya?
Empat belum. Katanya tadi 4 udah ada, tapi gue nggak ada yang rename.
3
Oh, itu
belum ya?
dia. 3 sama 5, the last one. Do I close it now? It's only 3.
Not yet.
Oh,
Tunggu sampai
just let them pick first, okay.
I'll go to 3 deh.
Siapa yang belum punya representative, Yon?
3 sama 5.
Oh, 3 sama 5 ya. Beng epo ek ya lomai. Xiaoming?
Yo.
Oke.
Share screen, Ben. Share screen. So we know kayak tim saya udah set apa belum.
What's up, people?
Share screen. Cepetan.
For me? Oh yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna announce the stuff, remember?
Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
All right. So, wait, is everyone back? No, not yet. It seems.
Not yet.
William lecturer services.
Where is the bustling?
We are not using a buzzer, yeah. If you had any questions about the game, you could have asked then, but here's the thing, we are using the chat box now. I will re-clarify the rules before we start, just in this bit. Is that everyone? Belum ya? Don't think so. Is that everyone you want? Is there anyone else in the breakout?
The breakout room is already closed, so that is everyone.
So this should be everyone, yeah. Yeah, Kevin, because your team didn't have a representative, I guess it's default to you. Sorry, Kev. Anyway, let me re-clarify the rules, yeah. So there is no buzzer this time. The 5 representatives, you guys are going to type into the Zoom chat box. If you only have one chance to answer. If your answer is correct and it is the first one that we see, then we will declare that answer as the correct one. Oh, thank you for that. Okay, my video is back. What else? Oh, as soon as we click the question, you guys are supposed to answer as soon as possible, yeah, but you have a time limit of 30 seconds. So try to think of the answer as fast as possible. Yeah. We're not gonna give you any time to think. You read the question, answer. So I think we can start, yeah. All right.
Trivia.
So I'm gonna give you all a trivia question. First one to answer correctly is going to pick first. All right. This is an easy one, yeah. What is the capital city of Indonesia? Jakarta. Okay, so Kevin gets it right first. I
Hey,
see
Kevin. I
I see
cannot see the chat, by the way.
nobody else typed for some reason, but okay. Uh, okay, Kev, you get to pick the first. Class object 400. All right, get ready, guys. All right, go.
Who
No answers yet. Wow.
cannot see the chat box? Ding, 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 ding.
Hello. Can I be heard? Hello, I'm lagging. Hello.
Yes, you can. No, we can hear you now. So who answered, Vincent?
Okay, reveal the answer, Ben. Wait, what? What's going on? Wait, hello.
Is it
Hello?
correct?
I can't see anything. Can you take over for the? Oh my god, I can't see anything.
Okay, so
Hello? So the answer is false. So for the one who answered false first, Carson, you get the correct answer. Unfortunately, Kevin, you're wrong. Okay, we continue. Carson, you can pick the question next, as you correctly answered the question.
Hello, I'm back. Okay, I can't see the chat anymore. So, oh my god, my video keeps dying.
Class object 300. Okay. Go. No answer yet so far. Okay, so I will reveal the answer.
That's the time limit. We only have one answer. Function has to be invoked. Constructor automatically gets invoked.
It's correct.
Who
is it?
That is partially correct. So can we declare that correct? Verification.
Yep, it's correct.
Okay. We can
Who
consider
answered it?
Karsten.
Karsten again.
Nobody else is answering. Wow.
Karsten, you pick another one.
Just reminding guys, there is a time limit for these questions. So yeah, please try to answer the questions when you can. Subclass is 300, man.
So class 300. And a parent class accesses the properties of its child classes. So those who answered first and correct, we pick it.
Oh, okay, but Carson gets it first. It's no, yeah. So the answer is no. Carson gets.
Yeah.
Oh my god,
1,000. It's already 1,000.
what's going on? Go again, go again.
Go again, Karsten.
Subclass is 400.
Ooh. Oh. What are the outputs of the code? Let me zoom out for a while. I can't. I need to scroll.
Anyone?
Who answered?
Oh.
Hi, Karsten. We win by. Oh. Unfortunately, that's the wrong answer, Karsten.
So nobody else has an answer, yeah. Oh, hi, bye.
It's also the wrong answer for Ryan.
Can you scroll up, man? I don't think they can see all the code. Kevin says bye. Okay, so nobody has an answer so far. Nobody has the correct answer so far. Hi is not the answer. Is that every group?
I think that's every group.
Oh, well. Sorry.
Are you questioning or what, Bernard?
Well, okay. You guys only have one chance to answer. Yeah. Okay. So let me rephrase this. There is a time limit. Yeah. Okay. Maybe we'll extend the time limit a bit. You guys have 1 minute to answer this question. Yeah. So if you answer outside of this time limit, you will be considered incorrect. So Bernard, you had the correct answer, error, but you answered after the time limit, which was 30 seconds. So yeah.
Oh, that's so
Try to
sad.
answer within 30 seconds, please, guys. If you need me to re-clarify the rules, you had time to ask. So nobody knows. So nobody got the answer.
Nope.
So let's decide somebody to get the next question. All right, next question. I'm gonna ask you guys. The one who gets this right, you get to pick. What is the smallest country in the world?
Is it
Oh, nobody knows. Czech Republic? No, it's not the Czech Republic. Vatican City. Yes.
Carson got it correct again.
That is correct. So, Carson, you can pick. Oh my god. Abstract 300.
Abstract what?
Abstract class 300.
300. Okay. Do we need open keyword for overriding an abstract class? Already start the clock for 30 seconds, guys.
No, that is correct. Oh my god.
Who is it?
It's no. So yeah, Carson's correct.
Carson again. Wow.
What is going
Come
on?
on, guys, fight, guys.
All right.
You can pick again, Carson.
Holy crap. Class is 200.
What class? Oh,
Classes and objects.
classes and object. 500. Wait, what? 200?
200.
Class with no constructor declared means that it does not have any constructor at all. True or false?
True, false. Well, who is that? Kevin? Yeah, Kevin got the answer first. It's false.
Ooh, new
Right?
champ.
We have a fight. Nice. Okay. False.
Kevin, pick.
Constructor is generated by default, so yeah.
Kevin.
Subclass 200.
Subclass 200. How many parents classes can a child class inherits?
Timer
20
is
seconds.
going. 1. Okay, Kevin's correct. It's 1.
Wow, Kevin again.
Yo,
Pick Kevin.
here goes Carson, but not quite.
It's 900.
Lost on time. Abstract class is 400.
Oh, big points. What are the differences between abstract property or function and a normal property or function?
My camera is broken, by the way, for anyone asking me to turn it on.
20 seconds.
Abstract, no inflammation, normal, neat. That is partially correct, yes? Yeah, okay, so okay, we will assume Kevin's answer is correct. Oh wow, Kevin's racing, let's go. You have to be fast, you have to be correct as well.
Pick again, Kevin. Big points? No? Or are we going 100?
Abstract 500.
Wow. Just to catch up, yes? Will the override class be work? Twenty seconds.
Does this work or not? Yes, that is correct. William got it first.
Oh, really? Wow. Okay,
Snipes,
okay.
500. Let's go again, Will.
Get to 500 and you can go catch up Carson.
500 classes.
Wow. And objects? Yeah.
What is the output of the code above? Come on, guys. We saw this already. Oh, who's that? Kevin got it first? False. Yeah. It's
Person
false.
object in X is different than person object in Y because they're different instance.
They are two different declared instances.
It's Kevin, yes?
Yeah, it was Kevin.
Oh!
Oh, their level.
Pick Kevin. Or Carson against Kevin.
Subclass 500.
Big number for B to
goal.
override the say hi function from A. What is missing from the code above? 20 seconds on the clock. Ten seconds.
Open.
5,
Open.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Can we declare that correct?
Yeah.
Open. I
open.
guess yeah. The
Yes, the
basic
keyword
piece
open.
of code is open. In front of the say hi function in A.
Keyword open is needed to be declared in front
Okay,
of
wow.
say hi.
So Carson gets that.
Oh my god!
Oh wait.
Oh, on this point just to catch up? No?
So the only possibility left is a tie. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Pick again, Mr. Karsten, the winner. Abstract 200, of course.
Oh, how many parents abstract classes can the child class inherits?
Similar to the last question, except with abstract classes.
Abstract. 20 seconds.
One. Oh my god, he's got it. Wait. Is that just game?
Yep, it's one.
Oh.
Is that
Who is
just
it?
is that just game Carson again?
Oh.
You know, for the sake of learning, we'll play through the rest of the game. Yeah, guys.
Okay.
Sorry that there's no more prize, but
What do we call a programming language that has classes and objects?
it's okay. You can just answer the questions.
Oh, object-oriented programming.
Nobody even answered the question yet, Ben. What the?
Oh, I thought you said open it.
Well, Felix got it. But Felix, you're not the representative, are you?
Yeah, Felix is not the representative.
Thanks, groupmates Lamal. Oh, what really, Carson? Wait, who's carrying you? Tell me who it is. Tell me who it is right now. Who is it? Who is it? Who's in their group, bro? Who was it? My man's carrying. Arik said open. Aduh, Arik. And of course it was Arik. Of course it was Arik. All right, we can just go through the rest of the questions, Ben.
What keyword is used to change the functional properties that are already existed in the parent class in the child class?
Wait, this is. Wait, yeah, you can just reveal the answers. We're pretty much done for now.
See, the keyword override is used to change the function or properties that are already existed in the parent class in the child class.
Yeah, good to know people still know. Edward gets the answer. Yeah,
I'll give you Bernard.
Right. And the last one, Ben.
What is the keyword used to differentiate an abstract class from a normal class?
This one's pretty obvious, right? Ah, abstract.
Reveal.
Wow, gila William.
Abstract is a keyword used to mark a class an abstract class. William points go to Ryan. Yeah.
All right, so we're done with today's game. Congratulations, Karsten, Eugene, for winning the prize.
Wow.
You'll get it and know it soon enough. But for the time being, just understand that you are the winner.
Winner.
So now we're closing. Yeah, we've got another session next week. Is it next week? Yeah, right. I'm guessing. Yeah, it's another next week Saturday, right? All right. I'm just gonna assume that every Saturday we have a session unless we have holidays. So see you guys then.